Hello, this is breaking news on the Creative Society channel.
On December 4th, 2021, there was an unprecedented conference, Global Crisis, Time for the Truth, which for the first time ever was held with simultaneous interpretation into 100 languages of the world.
The conference brought together not only climate and environmental experts and specialists, but also public and religious figures who actively support the creative society and understand the importance of its implementation right now.
We have conference participant Alexander Masny, a biochemist and neuroinformatician. Alexander, hello. Please share your opinion about the unique event.
Hello, dear viewers. Indeed, I would like to tell you in detail about the conference, because without exaggeration, it has been a unique event. Generally, all the conferences which are organized by participants of the Creative Society project are an answer to the vital questions for humankind, to those socially important questions which our modern society has. And this conference was not an exception. And it turned out that it answered not only questions about the climate, questions about ecology, about the state of our planet, but it also answered questions about the format of the society we live in, about the consumer format of the society we live in. And what I remember the most was the part about the consumer format, about the truth which we really have today, which you can't hide. And it was very good that the topic of climate was tackled. Especially now in Europe, it's on everyone's lips after the Glasgow conference. And it was good that it was said that, for example, science in our consumer society does not really serve the people. It is a tool for carrying out someone's private interests. And this situation, at a time of massive global climate changes, it's just disastrous for all of humanity. And it is very good that there are scientists for whom conscience is not a remnant, who look at the world truthfully, who call things by their proper names. And also, we've been appealing to those scientists who are still following the man-made factor, to look the truth in the eye, to look truthfully at those facts, and to start telling the truth about what they're observing, about what really is. And this format that we have is consumerist. It demobilizes people. But the truth, it liberates.
Yes, you're right. People have been shocked by the information about the real causes of climate change, environmental crisis, and the absurdity of our actions as a society to address these issues. The conference really resonated with people from all over the world.
Yes, it was really good to see all the comments that people wrote, saying that their eyes were opened to what was going on. To be honest with you, the conference has just changed my outlook. It has changed my life. I can honestly say that. Because on the one hand, when you prepare and participate, you only see one part. But when you see the whole situation during the conference, it's just something incredible. And the truth encourages people to be active, precisely to change this consumer format into a creative one. And what is more, these actions are very simple. That is, you have to look at the Creative Society project at the website creativesociety.com, understand its essence, its importance in our format, and start sharing it with your friends, colleagues, and all those who do not know about it yet. Thank you.
Thank you, Alexander, for finding the opportunity to connect and share your impression of the Global Crisis Time for the Truth conference. The breaking news team also participated in the preparation of this conference in terms of monitoring natural disaster in 4 months, and their number in this short period of time is astounding.
Unfortunately, we have a lot to tell you in this episode as well. In early December 2021, a catastrophic eruption of the Semeru volcano began in Indonesia. The scale of the devastation was enormous. The red-hot emissions caught local residents by surprise as they left their homes in a hurry. This and other natural disasters in the country are covered in more detail by our Indonesian breaking news reporter.
Hello, this is breaking reporter from Indonesia. On December 4, 2021, in Indonesia, on the island of Java, there was a powerful eruption of the volcano Semeru. The pillar of the smoke and ash rose to a height of more than 15 kilometers. Everything happened so quickly that unfortunately led to casualties. There are some people who went missing. In this horrifying footage, we can see how people just left everything and try to quickly leave the epicenter of the event. About 100 people were injured, mostly from burn. In total, more than 1,000 people were evacuated. The search and rescue operation was hampered by thick smoke and road damage. The smoke was so thick that it obscured the sunlight and it became dark as night in the middle of the day. A temporary camp was set up for residents of the affected communities. As a result of the eruption, buildings were destroyed and damaged. The entire surrounding area was covered with mud and volcanic ash. Part of the animal died from the inclement weather. Most recently, the Regional Disaster Management Agency of Lumajang Regency recorded 29 people died from the eruption as of December 7, 2029. This number is likely to continue to grow. It's worth noting that on the same day, there was an eruption of the mud volcano Kesongo on the islands of Java too. It lasted less than 5 minutes with the maximum height of the mud jet of about 15 meters. This volcano is 212 kilometers from Semeru volcano, where the catastrophic eruption occurred. In addition to volcanic activity, the citizens of Indonesia were also affected by flooding. This happened on December 6 on the islands of Lombok. Due to the huge amount of rain, the river overflowed their banks. In some areas, homes were flooded. Residents were forced to leave their homes due to worsening weather conditions. In some places, landslides occurred.
According to Floodlist Portal, on December 8th, prolonged flooding in the province of West Nusa Tenggara, which includes Lombok Island, resulted in death and affected the lives of more than 60,000 people. Thousands of homes were also damaged.
From one episode to another, breaking news reporters and eyewitnesses keep informing about the Cumbre Vieja volcano eruption on the island of La Palma. In today's episode, we'll hear the expert opinion of a geologist from the University of Huelva about the situation on the island.
My name is Fernando Garcia de Lejane Rodriguez. I am a geologist from the University of Huelva, and I also have a master's degree in geophysics from the University of Granada. I am currently in the area of the island of La Palma, where, as it is known from lots of mass media, a volcano is erupting that appeared in the form of a fissure in the Cumbre Vieja volcano. Initially, 9 estuaries were formed, but eventually everything focused into the mouth of the eruption, from which, in the form of a flow of ash and larger materials called bomb and lava flows, unfortunately continued its course. In this case, the lava flows reached the village de Todoque, which has completely destroyed it, as well as ruining many Canary banana plantations. Like many banana plantations of the Canary Islands, there has been a huge destruction, and then the lava flow continued until it reached the sea, which formed a so-called fajana in the area of La Palma, for it is like a river delta, but in this case it is land that goes into the sea. The population was alerted, but of course, unfortunately, the main focus was behind a house. It was a bodega belonging to a citizen of La Palma. Unfortunately, it destroyed everything he had, and then its course, as I said, continued downwards. Since then, the earthquakes, seismicity, have continued. They were not of great magnitude, 4.6 to 4.8, even magnitude 5. The central government of Spain has approved aid, which, as I can attest, has not yet arrived, according to the words of the people who live here. Yes, help was assigned, but not to the people who lost their homes. The older people have been taken to the center of the largest social center for the elderly. Others, if I remember correctly, I think were placed in the sports palace, that is, in common areas of nearby towns, so that to have a place for those who had no relatives, where they could have stayed. And then, of course, a huge loss. In addition to their houses, they've lost the whole plantations. Also, the desalination units were destroyed. I think they were in the Todoque area. And this is all in addition to the damage to the water main that is there. Initially, there was a problem of toxic gases getting into the water pipes, which made the water unusable. That's where the problem lies. I think that every country should solve its problems according to its own beliefs, but also other countries that are successful should help with such issues as we have discussed. The principle of solidarity towards countries with insufficient funds or resources, but here everyone is on his own. For example, most of the world's population settles on the coasts. We see the polar ice caps melting. This raises sea levels, and that's a problem. We are experiencing this in Spain as well. But what's going to happen when the floods start? In this case, we will have volcanic activity, disasters and volcanic risk, changes in climate and floods. And until that happens, we won't see the solidarity we're talking about. Within my purview, what I work with, what I study and understand, I think volcanic hazards should be much more studied than what's being done at the moment. We have a problem that we had, for example, in Colombia in the 80s, that destroyed an entire town when it was perfectly known that there would be Loares. It's a river of mud produced by a volcano, along with ice. If it had been perfectly studied, there would not have been any casualties. But I think the volcanic risk is given much less importance than what it represents, as well as climate hazards. Although this is much more publicly discussed now.
The behavior of the volcano is unpredictable, and any day the situation on the island can become even more critical and life-threatening. But nevertheless, the process of volcanic eruption attracts thousands of tourists.
Unfortunately, in the consumer format of society, we do not realize the full scale of the impending threat. This is why it is very important that the information presented at the conference, Global Crisis: Time for the Truth, would be heard by everyone.
On December 5th, a new daily cold record was recorded in St. Petersburg, Russia. The temperature in the northern capital of Russia fell to minus 20.9 degrees Celsius, beating the previous record set 128 years ago.
On December 6, in the village of Nymaka, Sweden, the temperature dropped down to minus 43.8 degrees Celsius. This set a record for this area over the past few decades. Also, this temperature is the lowest ever recorded in Sweden at the beginning of the season since 1945. For other records and weather anomalies in Europe, watch next in the reports.
Hello, this is a breaking news reporter from Denmark. In early December, a record snowfalls hit Denmark. The city of Aalborg was the hardest hit. In some places, 70 centimeters of snow was recorded. The snowfall was accompanied by hurricane-force winds of 70 kilometers per hour. Traffic was hampered and hundreds of traffic accidents occurred. Long jams were formed. Airport operations were temporarily halted. Fortunately, no injuries were reported. On November 27th, northern and central Spain was hit by Storm Arwen. Unfortunately, there were fatalities. One half of the country was covered with snow. In the other half, there were heavy rains, which led to an increase in water levels in rivers and flooding in coastal regions. In the province of Cantabria, streets, basements, and an industrial complex were flooded, and workers had to be evacuated by boat. On November 30th, a cold front brought a sharp temperature drop of 10 to 15 degrees below normal for the season to the northern regions, as well as heavy snowfall, which the northern regions have not seen in about 50 years. Wind speed reached 80 kilometers per hour. Huge masses of snow covered the icy sidewalks and roads, creating dangerous conditions for traffic and pedestrians. Rescue services assisted more than 1,500 people who were stuck in cars on snow-covered highways. Rail service and airports were also suspended. On the night of November 27th, the devastating storm Arwen also hit the coast of Great Britain, where it also brought heavy rains and snowfalls. Unfortunately, casualties have been reported. Winds of over 150 kilometers per hour broke trees, overturned trucks, blew shingles off houses, and partially destroyed buildings. A rare red level storm warning was issued for the east coast of Scotland and northeast England. About 240,000 homes were temporarily left without electricity. Some buildings were even left without heating.
On December 7, Storm Barr struck Ireland. The city of Cork was the hardest hit by the storm. Heavy rainfall caused local rivers to overflow, resulting in flooding. Roads and the first floors of buildings were flooded. Powerful winds with gusts up to 130 kilometers per hour broke branches of the trees, overturned garbage cans, and severed electrical wires. About 60,000 homes and industrial plants were left without electricity. Fallen trees caused some roadways to be blocked. Shipping and airports were temporarily suspended. After the storm, snow fell in some regions. This resulted in ice and caused travel to become difficult. Rare red weather warnings were declared in the countries of Cork, Kerry and Clare. Storms are not uncommon in these regions, but not every storm is given a name, only the strong ones. On December 6, 2021, a record snowfall was recorded in the Upper Pyrenees, France. Thus, in the highlands of the Arwen Lake complex, 1 meter and 75 centimeters of snow fell, the highest in the last 25 years. And in the municipality of Arwen, at the altitude of more than 1500 meters, snowfall was a record for the last 50 years, 1 meter and 37 centimeters.
Greetings, this is breaking news reporter from Croatia. On November 29, 2021, a hurricane hit the city of Istanbul in Turkey. Casualties and several injured people have been reported. Wind gusts of up to 130 km per hour overturned cars on the roads and tore the roofs of houses. And in the area of Çatalca, the clock tower was overturned. Sea and air travel was suspended. The Bosphorus Strait was closed to the passage of ships. The wind and high waves caused some ships to be pushed aground or overturned on the pier. Despite the difficulties caused by the natural forces, people helped each other. Even in this situation, for example, bus driver blocked motorcyclists with their cars so they could get across the bridge safely, and people on the streets held on to each other so they wouldn't be blown away by the wind. A powerful storm hit Sochi, Russian Federation, on December 1st and 2nd. Huge waves up to 9 meters high covered the shoreline, destroyed parts of the waterfront, washed away coastal cafes, and flooded coastal hotels. The last time a storm of this magnitude was recorded here, nearly 10 years ago.
The most severe floods in the last 60 years were the prolonged floods in South Sudan. According to official data alone, more than 750,000 people were affected by the floods between May and November 2021. Unity State was among the regions hit the hardest. A total of 8 of the country's 10 states were affected by floods. Local residents were left without access to food supplies and other vital goods. Meanwhile, in neighboring Kenya, people were suffering from food shortages due to drought. A breaking news reporter will tell us more on this topic.
Hello, this is the breaking news reporter from Tanzania. On November 28, 2021, heavy rain occurred in Nairobi, the capital of Kenya. Roads were flooded in several parts of the city. Also, unusual heavy rain continued throughout the next week in the different regions of Kenya. On November 4th, a bus carrying passengers was swept by flood water into the Nzui River in Kitui County in the country's eastern province. Suddenly, dozens of people died. While heavy rains were falling in one region, people in the north have been suffering from lack of rainfall for the second season in a row. Nearly 2.5 million people in this region will face or are already facing food problems, as livestock mortality exceeds 60% of the herd due to the drought. According to forecasts, this situation will last at least for several months, which is going to have an extreme negative impact on cattle farmers, whose main assets is livestock.
From January to November 2021, natural disasters in Vietnam, mainly typhoons, flash floods, tornadoes and landslides, resulted in over 100 people reported dead or missing. More than 140 were injured. Economic loss was $158 million, according to the country's General Statistics Office. Watch next on cataclysms that occurred in Vietnam in late November, as well as in other countries.
On November 30, the coastal areas of Oman were hit by a powerful storm with hail. Valleys and roads went underwater. Streams of water swept away cars on their way. Fortunately, there were no casualties. Rescue services and the population took warnings of the impending storm very seriously and took precautions in advance. From November 26 to 30, heavy rains caused flash floods and landslides in 5 provinces of Vietnam. Unfortunately, casualties, injuries and missing persons have been reported. During this period, rainfall in some areas exceeded 800 millimeters, and that's a little more than 2-month amount. In some places, the depth of the flooding reached 120 centimeters. Over 6,000 families had to relocate to safe places. Over 60,000 homes were flooded. Roads, highways, and over 5,000 homes were blocked by floods and landslides. Not only agriculture, but also livestock production was affected by natural disasters. From November 27 to December 1, in Thailand, heavy rains caused floods in 8 provinces of the country. In some regions, more than half a month's worth of rain fell in a 24-hour period. Approximately 100,000 people were affected by the disaster. The end of November brought heavy rains and, as a consequence, widespread flooding to the residents of Australia. Casualties have been reported. The eastern states of Queensland, New South Wales and Victoria were also affected. In Queensland, most roads are closed and a number of settlements have been evacuated. Because of the floods, local farmers had problems with the harvest. Many have reported that they have lost 10 to 100% of their crops in their fields. According to the Australian Bureau of Meteorology, November was the wettest November in the country in 120 years.
The development of events show us that our planet is dying and we are all moving very quickly towards a point of no return. Natural cataclysms are occurring daily with ever-increasing power, and in the period from November 26 to December 10th alone, natural disasters have covered the territories of such countries as Indonesia, Vietnam, Thailand, South Sudan, Kenya, Australia, Oman, Russia, Sweden, Turkey, Denmark, Spain, Great Britain, Ireland, France, and other countries.
Also, the calamitous situation caused by climate change is exacerbated by environmental problems caused by human consumerism towards the planet. The Catari River in Bolivia is such an example of carelessness. It flows through several populated areas, including near the major city of La Paz. Waste from the private areas, dead animal carcasses, and toxic industrial waste are dumped into the river. As a result, the clean waters of the river have turned into waste streams. This has not only destroyed the local ecology, but also practically nullified agriculture. There is no more fertile soil or arable land left. Instead, there are heaps of plastic, bottles, and other trash, including toxic and hazardous waste.
The Catari flows into Lake Titicaca. If the pollution of the river is not stopped immediately, the largest source of fresh water in South America will very quickly become unusable, and this is already a real ecological disaster. This kind of thing is happening in every region of the planet. The scale of the planetary catastrophe has been comprehensively revealed at the conference Global Crisis, Time for the Truth.
Participants of the conference will present irrefutable facts and evidence of the plight of our planet and society. It is time for the truth.
That our chemical contamination, whether because of these drugs or because of other pharmaceutical substances, is already so significant that it is changing sex of the fish.
The ocean is a garbage dump, which can already be seen from outer space.
A crisis is always a phenomenon that manifests itself in the short term.
4 months have passed since our last conference. Global crisis. This already affects everyone. But even in this short period, the number of climate disasters has grown to record numbers.
Threat. We are in an unprecedented and uncomprehendable climate emergency right now.
When these disasters happen and time goes by, it's no longer in the news, it's no longer, and people forget. And people are still suffering. People are still out of housing a year later, 2 years later.
That every day we sentence ourselves to death without trial or investigation.
Tens of thousands of homes destroyed. hundreds of thousands of victims worldwide, lives that can never be brought back, are the price of each day without a creative society.
Global. Ninguém consegue
Alone, no one can resolve, mitigate, or overcome the brutal threat humanity is faced with today.
That astronomical reasons determine the nature of climatic changes on the planet right now and at this time.
Changes in climate and geodynamics on other planets of the solar system occur simultaneously with changes on Earth. This is due to 12,000-year cycle caused by galactic radiation.
Because 8 billion people are in serious danger in the very near future, while these CO2 schemes are absurd, dangerous, criminal. This is the truth.
Now there is no time to shift responsibility to anyone else. The heart of our planet is already beating faster. This is causing catastrophic changes. Only by admitting the truth about the real causes of climate change will we be able to grasp the full extent of what is happening and unite the entire scientific potential to ensure the survival of all humanity.
We must act right now, because next year it might be too late. Let's direct our efforts towards saving humanity.
When all people know the truth, we can change the situation very quickly and unlock our full human potential to build a creative society and save the life of every person.
The creative society offers incredible opportunities for the favorable development of society and the planet as a whole.
And what is the creative society? The creative society is, first of all, when everything belongs to humanity, energy is equally distributed among people. This is very important. It doesn't mean that someone out there cannot be richer. They can. There is a basic income which is distributed. People are steadily supported and all the best is for people. There is no point in designing new cars every year, but there is a point in designing cars that will serve for 10 or 20 years. Well, I'm just giving an example. And there's no need to repair them every 2 weeks or something else. That's the difference. It's very simple. This is the economy. Moreover, all energy belongs to people. In other words, there is no such concept as, of course, at first stage there will be money as well, there will be everything, but this is inevitable in the transitional model. Yet distribution is already different. There won't be such a concept as, for instance, we need to do something urgently. We have climate change, we need to collect our entire intellectual potential and direct it to one action. In the consumerist format, we will not do that, while in the creative format, this is very easy and simple. And having united all people, I mean scientists, those who have something to do with that. This doesn't mean everyone should deal with it. Well, I believe our friends have understood me. So all these scientists, our entire brain, so to say, will work in this direction. And there won't be any lack of a resource. Why? Because everything is ours. And we understand that in order to survive, we need what? We need to invest everything we have in one goal, survival. After all, we are people, and we want to live. This is true. So how can we economize on this, right? Where do we direct it to? Into someone's pockets? What for? So, the simplest answer to how the creative society can save humanity is by means of resource, the unlimited resource, the human, intellectual, material and technical resource. That's the point and that's the difference. Right? That's a simple, the most straightforward answer. We cannot do that in our consumerist format. Why? Because a lot of people will be devising new sneakers, what color to use and how to bend the sole in order to shove sneakers at you. However, in the creative society, the same people, very smart people who really have a great education and really have a potential, can invest it. Why would you need new sneakers if you can wear the old ones? They're still good, right? Or you can buy an old model, comfortable enough. Meanwhile, this smart person will deal with how to save your life, and so that you can walk in your sneakers for another 20 or 30 years on this earth, or even 50 or 100 years.
You can learn more about the Creative Society at creativesociety.com.
Thank you for being with us today, and see you soon on the Creative Society channel.